Yes, at three years old, my little feet couldn't touch the floor, and I was playing. I knew a song called "God Be With You Till We Meet Again," and I didn't know how I knew it. I had never seen the music. I didn't really know what music was in terms of written notes. I had perfect pitch, and very few of us in the world are blessed with that. But I knew that song, and I knew it was in the key of F, and I played it at 3 years old. I remember that, just walking to the piano and playing it. That's when it was established that I had that. We didn't know what perfect pitch was, though, until I was 5 years old and started to study classical music. I was pursuing my classical career. And understand that the classics came before all of show business. So I was prepared. I was just a pianist. I wasn't a singer. And I was supposed to go to Juilliard School of Music to pursue my classical studies. So they took up a collection where I was born to send me to Juilliard School of Music to study with Carl Friedberg, who I actually did study with for a summer, and I was at Juilliard a year and a half. And then I went to Curtis to further my education in classical music, where I was turned down. And I was turned down because I was black. And that is when I got into show business. I didn't hear Louis Armstrong and Billie Holiday and Ivory Johanna. These people I didn't hear until I was older and allowed to go across the streets on the weekend to the central part of town. I love Ray Charles, Lena Horne. Let me see, the great ones, Duke Ellington, of course, John Coltrane, Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis. Not many women singers. Billie Holiday is a great jazz singer, but I was never a fan of hers. I'm more a fan of Ella Fitzgerald. Women are eternal romantics, I find, and they like to identify with love songs because they are forever looking for that man in their lives. They are impressed by things they can be a part of. And children, they are always impressed by that. And marriage and a feeling that other women are with them. I always love romance. I don't have it too much in my life right now. But I will always love songs that have to do with the man and woman. I will always love love songs. It turned around the whole black world for women, because the story of these 4 black women who are all different in complexion. You know, it's one of my most famous songs.
Nina, I have a question for you. What do you do when you're not thinking about music? Do you have any
swim, though I haven't been doing it for the last 4 days, and I scuba dive. And I love to dance. I'd love to go dancing every night of my life if I could. I would just love to get away from playing and singing for a while. Years ago, before I got in show business, I did a little bit of modeling. I love fashion, and I love being thin. I just can't do it now. The music overwhelms me. Everywhere I turn, I have to do music. And I wish to God I could get away from music long enough to enjoy all the other things that I do. Unfortunately, this is not true now, and I've just survived from plowing through life, I suppose. I like the idea that people like the idea that I have survived, because the music does not have the inspiration that it used to, not for me. I've been married 2 times. I've lost 5 children because I sacrificed to this work. I couldn't hold them in my belly. I was on my feet too long. I loved him very much. This song, 5 of my songs are dedicated to him from my last album in France. And this tune is called You Took My Teeth, dedicated to Bob Marley. It's a very short and informal little thing. It takes about 60 seconds, and it goes like this, dedicated to Bob Marley. You took my teeth, you took my brains, you tried to drive me so insane, and now you're trying to take my eyes, but it is finished because I'm too wise, and that is why Bob Marley died. That is why Bob Marley died. That is why Bob Marley died. You took his eyes, zoom, boom, boom, boom. That's it. I wrote Fodder On My Wings on the balcony of my Swiss apartment. One night I had slept quite deeply, and I woke up and I looked down on civilization. I saw the order of the children going to school. I saw the silence and everyone doing the same thing, the same way, the same time. And though I admired that, I felt out of place, and I love Switzerland. But I slept so deeply, Tom. I said, look at civilization. I was on the 6th floor, and looked at these children, and I saw everybody marching in line, going to the grocery, coming back from the grocery, wearing their uniforms, their books, their satchels, going to school. I saw the businessmen taking off in their cars at the same time. I saw the telephone operators going to work. All this because I was on the 6th floor. And I saw all this. I lived in a complex where you could look down at these people going to work, 7:30, 8 o'clock. And I said, what on earth am I doing here? Not necessarily, and then came to my mind something called the Asphalt Jungle. Isn't that a film?
Yeah.
Now, I never saw it, and it has to do with the civilization within the concrete here in the Western world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or in the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when that came to me, I remember the concrete that housed the place where I stayed. It was a high-rise. But then the word came to me, it's fodder. I said, fodder? And though I'm not too badly educated, I didn't know that word. I had dreamed so deeply and I was standing quite still. I remember it like yesterday. So I went to my dictionary and hurriedly found the word fodder. F-O-D-D-E-R. Which, by the way, the people who don't understand that word are always calling this song Father on Our Wings.
And people used to say sea lion woman.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So, when I found out that it meant manure and hay and poussière and dust and the obstructions, the filth in the air, I found that this was fodder, particularly, was something that's used for cattle to eat and to lie in the country. And then I remember I knew that I was a reincarnated entity. And so that the words to the song are that of a small bird who fell here to this planet. And it only fell because one of her wings was crippled. And because she fell in the country in this fodder. And it's a delicate, delicate bird. So, because she was crippled, she couldn't fly, but she had a third eye, you know, the third eye. So she could see all everywhere. She could see all people everywhere. And she saw that the people, the creatures that call themselves people, did not even know how to live, let alone give. And because it was a reincarnated entity, we have this strange mixture of a bird and a person. So the little bird, since she was crippled, she could only fly a small distance. and she would fly, try to get out of that poussière from country to country when she had the strength. The end of the song leaves it up to the audience to determine whether the bird, after flying here and there, and the only place that she could get any relief about whether or not people still know how to give was in Africa. And so it's up to the audience, after they hear the song, to determine or to, in their own minds, to decide if the bird, in the end, got completely well and that left wing got well, so it could fly away from here because it didn't like it here, or whether it fell to earth back in the fodder and remained there indefinitely. That's the story of the song.
Nina, you wanted to be the first great black classical pianist, and your first...
No, I didn't, darling. They wanted me to be Mrs. Lawrence Mazanovich and my mother. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I am that. But had I wanted it, I certainly would have promoted myself better than I have during these years, and I would not be on records as a popular blues and jazz singer. No, darling, I didn't want it. They wanted it.
Well, your show business career started rather abruptly at Harry Stewart's Midtown Bar in Atlantic City.
Yes, it started because I had studied classical music 20 years at that time, but I couldn't make any money at it. And I was turned down at Curtis Institute when I went there for a scholarship. I didn't make it, and it was because of prejudice. I wasn't prepared for that, and so I had to go into show business to help support my family. In retrospection, I wouldn't have done that. I would never have, had I had the choice and known what I know now, Tom, I would never have gotten to show business. I would have picked potatoes. I would have pleaded with my mom and dad. I would have done anything to continue my classical studies. I would have done it. Oh, no, this was a mistake. Oh, no, I'm stuck with it now. Believe me, it's a mistake. They wanted me to be, and that's what my talent's supposed to be, and I serve God with my music, and I'm very, very, very happy to be given these gifts. But as far as I'm concerned, my being a human being and an imperfect human being has made me ill-equipped to deal with the talent that God gave me, because I mean it that if I had my choice, I would never have gotten show business.
Nina, this brings me to something that you once said, and you said that music is a gift and a burden. And obviously the gift and the burden still there.
That's why I'm going to Egypt to finish my autobiography.
You know, your public is an adoring, faithful, but I guess very jealous lover too, isn't it?
Yes. Very.
And I guess the title of your new album is pretty much the way you feel about things. Let It Be Me?
Yes, it's okay.
You want to go back to music, Nina, for a minute, or you want to keep talking? Nina, looking at you, it's hard to believe that you've been in show business for 4 decades.
Has it been that long?
It's been 4 decades. Yeah.
It's hard for me to believe it too, dear. My God. Oh, Jesus. Well, I suppose when you're born, I've been on show business on the stage since I was 3. That's an awful long time.
Well, if you consider 1958 and when the first record came out.
4 decades.
60s, 70s, 80s.
I wish I had known now what what I know now. I feel the same way I did when I first put my first album out. And I'd like to tell you something psychic. Tom Schnabel, I said it right, didn't I?
Right.
This Let It Be Me album puts me in the same position psychically as the first album I made called Nina Simone at, I had a cape on at a atmosphere at a sophisticated nightclub. It has Little Girl Blue on it.
Yeah, right.
Now, now on that album I had a hit, Porgy, right? Now, 25 years later, from the same album, the first album, My Baby Just Cares For Me came from the first album. Did you realize that?
Yeah.
So the span of 14 years, so psychically what I'm saying is that same first album is holding sway right now. Because 25 years later, we have this hit, My Baby Just Cares For Me, which has got nothing to do with all the albums in between. And what's more, Vine Street Bar and Grill puts me psychically back in the same position I was 25 years ago, which is at another bar with another hit. Hopefully it will be one of my tunes this time. You still with me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's something else about this psychic message here, which makes me deeply regret having been in show business 40 years. I wish it was only about 2 years. And which is, I have made a title to a film, Someone to Watch Over Me. I did that 4 weeks ago. And the irony of that is that it's written by the same people who wrote I Love You, Porgy. Ira and George Gershwin. And it's written in French and English, and I did the title to it. Do you know what I'm trying to connect? The two albums, right. The first one, this last one, forget all the 50 in between, and the film. And the film, Someone to Watch Over Me, written by Ira and George Gershwin, who wrote Porgy, is also the story of my life, because it's a film that's coming out in November, Columbia Pictures, you all. And it's the story of a rich lady in New York City who wants someone to watch over her. And we, of course, think normally that we're talking about a lover. They're not talking about a lover at all. They're talking about a bodyguard, which is what happened to me in my life. I was married for 14 years to a sergeant of detectives in New York City that I met at a bar. I was a child prodigy. So when you're given a gift, it is your duty to give it back to the world. So if you are humble, and I like to think that I have been, you develop this craft and you give it back to the world. The burden part is that everybody expects you to know everything about everything, and they never stop wanting. You owe them your albums, but you don't owe them anything after a concert. You don't owe them your life. And it's taken me most of my life to learn that.